Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson and the Adahi Tano program. Cars Plus, home of Guam's first and only lifetime limited powertrain warranty. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurants, always open, always local, and serving up favorites for over 40 years.
Ahead on Prime Time, the total number of COVID-19 related casualties is now 48. Plus, ensuring strict COVID protocols are followed, religious services will be allowed to be held indoors. And a COVID-19 bereavement assistance fund is being developed by the Department of Administration.
Hafaday, good evening. One day after the Archdiocese of Agana announces it will restart indoor services this weekend, Adelie claims the church knew that the governor was considering giving her blessing days ago, and today officially announced she is authorizing indoor religious services to resume. Peter Santos reports.
Holding on to hope every week, the Archdiocese of Agana finally took a stand, deciding not to wait for the governor's blessing to restart indoor masses.
Gosh, we had to look forward to Friday again. You know, what is it going to be this time? And will she include us in her executive order? Or will she exclude us? So it's that on the edge, you know, feeling what's going to happen next. And I know she doesn't have all the answers, but I think we have enough answers to be able to say, let's work together. And I know that's her intent, but it doesn't seem like that's been the practice.
According to the governor's office, religious services are authorized to resume this Saturday, and that, quote, the Archdiocese of Agana was notified of this consideration days ago, end quote. Father Mike Chrysostomo, however, says that the Archdiocese was not officially notified.
I know we were told it's a discussion. The governor herself told me in an email that it's certainly in her mind and in her heart, and they'll be discussing it.
But he says the governor never indicated when she planned to allow indoor services to resume. The governor's office contends that during the life of this pandemic, churches have unfortunately represented a significant portion of COVID-19 clusters identified through contact tracing. The church's response? Show us.
We want to be able to help. Tell us which church.
The Archdiocese plans to implement strict COVID-19 protocols. Masses will be restricted to no more than 50% of the church's capacity. Masks will be mandatory, and social distancing will be enforced. In the meantime, the governor's office says that public health guidance on indoor religious service is forthcoming. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Peter Santos.
Despite Governor Lulian Guerrero giving her authorization for religious services to resume this weekend, a peaceful and prayer for protest was held this afternoon at the ITC intersection in Tamuning. Participants held up signs stating "Free the Mass" and "Free to Worship," and "I love my Catholic Church." KUAM News has learned that they wanted to make sure the governor hears their message that their faith is essential. The Department of Administration has been tasked to create the COVID-19 Bereavement Assistance Fund, which provides a one-time only grant of $10,000 to families of a person that passed away due to the virus.
Department of Administration Director Edward Burns' benefits section is working on the details for the bereavement program, which he's not even sure is offered anywhere else in the country.
I actually don't know.
Yeah.
It seems a sensitive and caring thing to do, but I haven't actually heard of other states setting up a program like this.
I saw.
Guam is different.
According to Byrne, the decision for the government to provide the one-time grant of $10,000 is because families are struggling to provide an appropriate burial.
We're going to try and work through it as quickly as possible with the intention of getting at least some of these payments out by the end of next week.
In order to be eligible, families must provide documents that validate the death was due to COVID or COVID complications. DOA must also keep accurate and audible records to ensure accountability. The executive order states that the bereavement program will be in effect for the duration of the declaration of the public health emergency or until such time as the bereavement fund is exhausted. The current public health emergency was extended to October 30th. So if somebody passes away like November 4th and it was related to COVID, the family would still be able to take advantage of the program.
Yes, I'm sure that would be the case.
Okay.
I mean, I actually can't imagine that we would not have some kind of public health emergency if people are still COVID virus.
While DOA is hoping to get some of the grants out by the end of next week, it is not clear how the program will actually be funded. According to Byrne, they are looking to use a portion of the $117 million in CARES Act money given to Guam, but are currently looking at the guidelines from the U.S. Treasury and whether it would be authorized.
If it's determined that we can't use the CARES Act funding for this program, we're going to be using local funds. And do we have local funds to pay for this?
Yes, we will have to make sure that we have local funds to pay for this, because it's such an important and as I say, it's a sensitive issue. We can't announce it and then not pay it. So I'm sure that we will find the funds. But if we can possibly use the CARES Act, then we certainly will.
According to the governor's office, the program is still in development and further information will be provided at a later date.
The island, in the meantime, recorded its 47th and 48th COVID-19 related fatality. The Joint Information Center confirming that the 47th occurred at GRMC yesterday afternoon. The patient was a 61-year-old woman. She was admitted to GRMC Tuesday and was a known positive case. The 48th occurred at the Guam Memorial Hospital this morning at 10:53. The patient was a 61-year-old man with underlying health conditions that were compounded by COVID-19. He was admitted to the hospital on September 15th after testing positive at a private clinic earlier that day. Governor Lulian Guerrero expressed her condolences, adding, "Nothing can replace the life of a loved one. We are responsible for our individual actions, but these actions affect our entire community. We must do what we can to protect each other from this virus." As for the latest numbers released by the Joint Information Center last night, out of the latest 516 samples ran at various labs, 53 returned positive. This brings Guam's COVID case count to 2,443 island residents who've been infected. 585 people are actively fighting the virus, while more than 1,800 have recovered. As for the census out of the Guam Memorial Hospital for today, it shows that 25 COVID patients have been hospitalized, with 9 of those patients receiving ICU level of care. 5 are currently on ventilator support. Last night, GMH received 1 new COVID admission and 1 patient was discharged to isolate at home. Medical providers will also finally get paid for service during the pandemic. The governor announced a new health care system stabilization grant program that provides financial assistance to Tier 1 and 2 medical and mental health providers. Governor's Physicians Advisory Group member, Dr. Hoa Win.
We didn't push for any money because it's a very long time to do. From when in case of emergency, like I say, we service the people first and we worry about the money later. We didn't collect anything. It's zero collection. So basically the whole day, that's what we do, is that if you come in sick visit or whatever you need to do because you worry about COVID, you go in and out the 4 doors in the back and you didn't see anything has changed at all. So if doesn't matter insurance or not, we write it off and we just suck it up.
He says the providers don't intend to make money for their services just to cover costs. The grant program will be administered by GITA. Adelup says it's still under development and further information will be provided at a later date. The latest with the Quarantine Chronicles from Superior Court as more quarantine travelers continue to be released. And although quarantine protocols have changed again, one question remains unanswered. KUAM's Adriana Cotero reports.
Attorneys are pushing for the answer to an unresolved question. Is the mandatory 14-day quarantine in a GovGuam facility the least restrictive measure for eliminating the spread of the virus? The government stands firm that passenger noncompliance is the cause for the increase of positive COVID-19 tests on Guam. Providing testimony to support this claim, the government has called upon Public Health's head of infection control, Chimamabaqwim, and medical advisor of the governor's Physicians Advisory Group, Dr. Felix Cabrera. And as petitioners pursued their freedom and complaints continuously flooded in against the government, Dr. Cabrera and Mbaqwim supported the government's quarantine requirement, having provided data, statistics, and the purpose for passenger quarantine, with both agreeing this plan is in place to further prevent COVID-19 from entering our borders. However, Attorney Jackie Terlahi requests the governor's head of the state surgeon cell, Dr. Michael Cruz, also testify. The court asked Deputy Attorney General James Canto to produce Dr. Cruz before the court, although it seems this request may be illegal, as Canto provides to the court a letter he received from the Guam Army National Guard, stating Colonel Cruz is on active duty under the Department of Defense and would need a DoD directive. Attorney Terlahi then asked the court order public health to produce Dr. Cruz, as he is the head of the governor's action response team. Canto responded stating, quote, I strongly oppose the request by counsel to have the court order public health break the law. If there's a subpoena Ms. Terlahi wants, she can serve it, unquote. The court has yet to rule on this matter. The petition hearings continue tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Adriana Cotero.
The last 150 inmates and detainees at the Department of Corrections are undergoing COVID-19 testing tomorrow, according to DOC Major Antone Uggan. That during their last testing, it was conducted by Public Health on September 24th. 209 inmates from Manila were tested and all results returned negative. Again, DOC's population is roughly 600, and to date they remain COVID-free. There could be as much as $3 billion more in federal pandemic assistance for Guam if Congress passes a bill proposed by House Democrats. The biggest pot of proposed relief funding will be for the government of Guam. In a news conference today, Congressman Michael San Nicolas says the local allocation would be $1.17 billion that can be used for government operations as long as it can be justified as lost revenue from the negative impact of COVID-19. San Nicolas suggests GovGuam could provide a tax holiday for local businesses by reducing the GRT to zero. He said the 1,200-page coronavirus relief fund legislation also includes another round of stimulus checks of $1,200 per person and up to $6,000 per household. Continued unemployment assistance, including $600 additional payments backdated to July 31st when the funds known as FPUC ended. He says the bill allocates about $67 million in rental assistance for Guam and $29 million for homeowners. There would also be $364 million for education and $446 million for healthcare, which he says can be used to help build a new hospital. He says businesses will also get relief through another $300 million of Paycheck Protection Program. However, the bill must still pass the Senate, and there's no specific timeline for when or if the upper house will act. Meanwhile, in a press conference of his own today, congressional challenger Democrat Robert Underwood unveiled his education platform. One of his planks was to move more toward online learning.
We should absolutely get every student an opportunity to have a tablet, and so that they can go online. And of course, it's not just giving them a tablet, it's giving them the resources and training and helping families understand what that means. And we need to move to a digital platform for access to materials and go a little bit beyond standard textbooks.
He also proposes to amend the IRS code to give teachers $500 in tax credits to adjust to the new online methods. Stay tuned, more news after the break.
How's the day, Guam? Don't wait any longer. By now, you've heard the 2020 census of Guam will be concluding on September 30th.
Time is running out. Don't wait for next week.
Don't wait for tomorrow.
Don't wait any longer.
Respond today.
Call 645-2020 to complete the 2020 census.
Don't get left out of the count. Together, we can make a difference.
Viva Guam, Viva Census.
For all those going out each day, doing what they can to hold us all together, we're here to help those helping us all by keeping our lights on.
Social distancing may be the new norm, but connection will always be our tradition. Through good times and tough times, we remain connected with you. Masks may be the new fashion, but protection will always be our style. You can always count on us to protect the things that matter the most. Sanitizing may be the new routine, but caring will always be our practice. We care about your loved ones and the things you value the most. And as we welcome our new normal, one thing remains certain: we will always be here for you. We're open and ready to serve you. Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
Welcome back. A bill to update the rules and regulations for the collection of tobacco taxes drew opposition from the Department of Revenue and Taxation. The measure by Speaker Tina Munoz-Barnes is meant to close the door on black market cigarettes that are draining millions of dollars in tax revenues. But DRT Deputy Director Michelle Santos says they oppose the hiring of a private company to do the job of DRT.
This bill dictates that the RFP include drafting of any rules and regs when the rules and regs are already provided in the bill. A vendor should not be providing rules and regs for enforcement and administration of a tax for the government of Guam. Payment to the potential offerer is exorbitant. We estimate this to be $3 to $4 million a year. This amount is monies that is diverted away from the Healthy Futures Fund.
The bill also calls for a stamp to be placed on every cigarette pack to verify that a tax was paid. Former Revenue Tax Director Arda Logan also testified against the measure, saying money would be better spent on beefing up the understaffed tax enforcement division instead of paying a ridiculous fee to a private company to do a job that can be done by the agency. Revenue Tax isn't the only one opposing Bill 368. Senator Sabina Perez also spoke out against the measure. Ironically, the legislation wasn't even referred to her committee, despite the lawmaker having oversight over revenue tax and procurement, two of the main issues of substance in the legislation. The bill instead went to Budget and Finance Chair Senator Joe San Augustine's committee.
This bill should have been, sent to my committee for review. And and considering some of the conversation could have been avoided yesterday because they would have known that a lot of the work has been done, or at least in regards to reaching out to revenue and taxation, and perhaps the bill could have been vetted a little bit more. And as you saw yesterday, Department of Revenue and Taxation came out opposing the bill. Right. And they did try to reach out to the author, the speaker, and they were unable to resolve some of the critical issues with the bill.
Like DRT Deputy Director Michelle Santos, Senator Perez raised concerns about revenue tax not having any input on the legislation and the exorbitant cost of paying a private company millions of dollars to do a job that can be done by the agency if provided the resources.
This is what the stance the agency has taken, that they can do it in-house. They feel that they can get the job done cheaper, and I think I believe the cost that was estimated was $200,000 to $300,000 if it's done publicly. Just by hiring more compliance officers, but I think even before going into that, versus the privatized model, which is about up to $4.9 million. And so, definitely you see the cost. It's more cost effective. It's done in-house.
Senator Perez adds it was problematic that rules and regulations were included in the bill with zero input from DRT. She also said the public should speak up against the bill because, quote, it's not in the best interest of the public, end quote. On the front line of the pandemic, but apparently at the end of the line when it comes to communicating with Adelup, 6 months into the COVID response, and mayors contend they should be more involved in discussions rather than at the receiving end of a press release from the Joint Information Center or a WhatsApp message. Agate Mayor Kevin Susuico and PD Mayor Jesse Allig.
KUAM on this platform has reached out to us more than the governor's office has.
Do we need representation in the executive and the legislative branch? The answer is yes. And are we seeing it? The answer is no. And the answer is no because we're not hearing it. So if it is happening, then we're not seeing it.
Mayor Allig adds a solution on keeping the mayors informed is communication before JIC reports come out. Doing so would allow them to weigh in and contribute to the conversation before information is sent out to the public. Guam's public auditor goes into more detail about his concerns surrounding the recent GURA audit and Director Ray Tapasnia's mission to prove that everything is all good at GURA.
Guam's public auditor BJ Cruz stands by his concerns over the recent GURA audit, shining a light on what he says should be a cause for concern for anyone.
Just looking at that, anybody should have concern. And all I was doing was waving my red flag and saying, guys, there's a problem here. Take care of it before it gets out of hand.
Cruz referencing the external audit of GURA, which showed multiple deficiencies, both material and significant, with the way that GURA runs some of its programs.
That is really shocking when you compare it to GDOE, which has one deficiency and is paying $3 million a year for a third-party custodian.
In the audit released by the Office of Public Accountability, a recommendation was made to the GURA board to develop policies and procedures in reference to the work planning and performance evaluation system policy, as currently the director and deputy are not covered.
The director and the deputy director are not professionals. They're not engineers. They're not, from that agency, and so they really shouldn't be part of the certified technical professional study. They are just that, political appointees to that position. And if you're going to be giving them raises or performance evaluations and increases, then there should be standard operating procedure.
In the 3-hour roundtable with the legislature, GURA Director Ray Tapasnia took to PowerPoint to clear up what he calls misinformation on several topics. One being the timeliness of GURA's audit in relation to the government of Guam's overall audit, despite Director Tapasnia reasoning that their audit was ahead of schedule with HUD and that GovGuam's financial health shouldn't be on his shoulders. Public Auditor Cruz says that the late audit from GURA could have had some major repercussions.
It's going to be a horrible situation because government of Guam will have a qualified and a modified audit, and it will cost us at the bond market, and it may cost us with federal grants.
Director Tapasnia assured the legislature that GURA's next audit will be on time for the public auditor next year. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Peter Sanchez.
About 50 laptops a day are being distributed to John F. Kennedy High School students this week. JFK is one of the first public schools to begin the laptop distribution process. According to Assistant Principal in charge of Student Support, Jay Antonio, they have roughly 300 laptops in total to hand out. Antonio says parents immediately responded and turned in the application. He adds that a majority of the students receiving the technology support are already registered online, but relied on their cell phones.
The fact that you have an actual laptop, where you have more options to actually do your work, I think it will make a lot of difference. I think the quality of work will be there. I think just the fact that, the students knowing that they have an equipment for them to utilize, I think that's going to help them a lot.
When students pick up their laptops, there is an instructional video and guidance on how to use the equipment. Every month, JFK high school students have to check in the laptops with the administration. GDOE wants to remind the public schools are still taking applications. However, there are specific deadlines. Contact your student's school directly for more information. Coming up, a recap from the 2020 presidential debate. Stay tuned.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Mas.
When I need to pay my Docomo Pacific bills or manage my account, all I do is visit mydocomopacific.com. It's easy to set up. I just visit the website and click on the link to set up my account. I filled out the registration page starting with my account number. I received a text message with a temporary username and password. After making initial changes on my security settings, I'm in! Now I can make payments or manage my Docomo Pacific account without needing to leave home. With Docomo Pacific, we're better together.
Our island is a gift that we have shared with the world. But in the stillness of today, our island is asking everyone to give us a moment. To be with our family, Ifamagonte, our children, our grandchildren, Itanota, our land, our thoughts, to be creative, Panhongi, to have faith, to be with the things we know and the things you've come to love. Give us a moment, and we will share one together soon.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Welcome back. Today marked the long-awaited first debate between President Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. As expected, their initial meeting quickly led to confrontations. Skylar Henry reports from the debate site, Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland.
President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden wasted no time trying to score points during their first debate.
That you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care, that they're very happy with.
That's simply not true.
But their interaction quickly dissolved into insults.
I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
The people understand, Joe.
They sure
47 years you've done nothing.
And anger.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, the coronavirus and the president's handling of the pandemic was also one of the debate's main topics.
It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. They're going to be
This is the same man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it.
They sparred over taxes. Biden released his 2019 returns hours before the debate and called on the president to do the same. A New York Times story published Sunday reported President Trump only paid $750 in taxes in 2016 and 2017, and none in many previous years.
Paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax.
And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts.
The debate was held here in a state that's vitally important to both candidates, with 18 electoral votes. The CBS News Battleground Tracker currently shows Ohio as a toss-up, with President Trump slightly edging Biden.
They won't have to wait long for a second round. The two will meet again in Miami 2 weeks from Thursday, and a final time in Nashville, just a week and a half before Election Day. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Cleveland.
The vice presidential debate is next Wednesday in Salt Lake City, Utah. Tonight's debate was held in front of a small crowd, socially distanced because of the coronavirus. Your birthday shout-outs are next.
MTO Maintenance will now completely sanitize your home, office, or business with state-of-the-art commercial sprayers. For over 30 years, MTO Maintenance has been committed to the health and safety of our customers. And now, more than ever, a clean home, office, carpets, and furniture is a necessity to our island. Give us a call today. Stay healthy and stay safe, Guam.
Call 647-6861 for an appointment.
With Grand Marnier, you'll dare to put a twist on the traditional. That will lead you to somewhere unexpected. Somewhere you can create something better than good. Here, you'll create something grand. Grand Marnier, a visionary blend of fine cognac and bitter orange liqueur. Live grand.
It makes myself and it makes my team members very proud to work for an organization that has been on island for many years with its focus on reliability, dependability, and commitment to the communities that they operate in.
Matson's a great corporate citizen to the community.
We all benefit from any sort of environmental commitment we make. One of the ways that we do that is with our Adahi Utano program. There's action behind it, and so action breeds commitment.
With the Kaimana Hila coming to Guam, this brings a new age and modernization to the island.
It's exciting for me because it's a brand new ship and we can carry more freight into the islands. It just shows growth for Guam and Micronesia.
Matson would be nothing without its customers, and we hope to continue to serve you for decades to come.
Welcome back. Before we put a wrap on this show, here's your birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
The last day of September is a happy day for some very special Guamanians because it's their happy birthday, and we say exactly that to Paz Sablan. Happy birthday, Paz, who turns 103. From your family, happy birthday and congratulations to your family. Justin Michael Barcinas Andre, happy birthday to you, coming from his children Isaiah, Sophia, and Ezekiel, and baby on the way, along with the rest of the family. Keith Guerrero, in all caps, happy birthday, Keith Guerrero. Love Natasha, Nicole, and Mommy. Ezra Thomas Tenorio, happy birthday #1 from Mommy, Daddy, Keoghan, Auntie Yazzie, Grandpa, and Grandma. They say they love you. And Inaya Ray, happy birthday to my beautiful goddaughter. We love you always, saying Nino Darrow, Nina D, and the family. Happy birthday to each and every one of you, and we hope you stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy.
And that is going to do it for us here on Primetime. Thanks so much for watching. Please stay safe, stay home, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for The Link.